and Dr. Amy is going to be my victim. Oh, sorry, I'm being an doctor. Okay? And this is hopefully an example of trying to endorse a patient to another specialty as realistic as possible. Okay? Right, so we're on phone, so that's why we're our backs into each other. Alright? Okay. So, yes, hello, this is the medical registrar. Yeah, I've had 3 weeks already from this number. Is it 3 different consultations or just one?
Hello, good afternoon.
Yes, hello, this is the medical registrar.
Hi, can I know your name, please?
Yes, it's Dr. Anderson.
Hi, nice to meet you. So, I have one issue here on the periphery. I know our case, I know our support is very good. I really want to do a consultation now.
Yeah, can you just give me the HC number, please? I've got loads of patients, I'm very busy. Just give me the HC number.
HC30W24.
Okay, yeah, you've spoken, someone's spoken to me about this patient already today.
Yeah, I know. But I didn't speak about it. I'm taking care of him now in our group. So she's a patient with history of back pain, and she previously has a history of breast cancer. And I would share it because we find like lesion is fine, that's fine straight. And we want to see her.
Yeah, she's going to have an MRI, that's the plan, isn't it? Neurosurgery, we've seen her, she's going to have an MRI. That's the plan on Cerner. That's my understanding. I don't know why you're ringing me.
Yeah, because this patient already, we found her with this new lytic lesion, which is new for her. And she was free from cancer for 2 years now.
Yeah, but she might have a neurosurgical problem. She's got sensory loss in her legs. She's been seen by neurosurgery. As far as I'm aware, her plan is to do an MRI to make sure she doesn't have other lesions, as well as the one that you can see on the X-ray. So, like I said, I don't know why you're ringing me.
Yeah, we plan to do MRI, but the patient, she has claustrophobia, cannot do the MRI now. And the MRI need to be planned later. And honestly, I think it can be done later, and I don't think neurosurgery will do any urgent intervention for her at the moment.
So, you don't know that though, because the plan is that she has an MRI.
Yeah,
and she might have some neurosurgical problem that we don't know yet because she hasn't had the MRI. And like I said, she's quite well. I don't really see why she should come to a medical bed when the plan clearly is that she sees the neurosurgical doctor. So until she's had the MRI and has a result that clears her from neurosurgery, she's not a medical patient, she's not coming to a medical bed. And my consultant's aware of this patient and she needs an MRI.
Yeah, we can do MRI at the moment, that's the first thing. And I spoke with oncology on call, and he informed me that we need to admit her under medical for continuing of her care.
And so just because oncology say admit her, she has to come into a medical bed when she's absolutely fine. She's really well, she's got normal vitals, she's got one issue which appears to be neurosurgical, and there's a plan for her to have an MRI. Just because she can't have the MRI doesn't mean that she changes her plan and just comes in under medical and takes up a medical bed. I don't know why she can't just go home and have the MRI as an outpatient in that case.
I don't know if she can go home at the moment because she's having new lesion which she need to be investigated.
Exactly, so she needs to see the neurosurgeons after MRI. So why are you ringing me? Pointless, you're just wasting my time. Like I said, I'm really busy, I've got a lot of patients, you're just wasting my time. I don't even know why we're having this conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate that you are tired today and you have a busy shift. But I believe this patient is primarily a medical case. And
she's not a medical case, she's, until proven otherwise, a neurosurgical case, because she has a lytic lesion on X-ray in her back, which is probably metastasis, and she needs an MRI. I'm not accepting the patient, she needs an MRI.
So if MRI is done, so thank you, and we'll discuss with my consultant and we'll discuss later with you.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, send this now. And one of the reasons that I can't look at Dr. Amen is because I'll either laugh or just crumble with guilt. So first of all, has anyone? Yeah, we all have, haven't we? And I actually, obviously, I was trying to be mean, but I think that's a fairly accurate representation of what happens, isn't it? So first of all, how does that make us feel? What does it? What emotions do you feel when you've got that scenario? When you're in that position on the telephone? Yeah, frustration, hopeless, yeah, angry. I would say embarrassed. It makes me feel embarrassed. I'm a consultant trying to refer someone, and then someone junior to me is resisting. Pardon? Yeah, you feel wronged, yeah. So it makes you feel uncomfortable, so immediately you're on the back foot, aren't you? And you just feel disempowered to some extent. And then also maybe for those of us who are less senior, it can make you feel insecure about your own sort of abilities, and then makes you uncertain. So what could Dr. Amen have done in that situation, do you think? What strategy could he have come over this side? What strategy could Dr. Amen have used in that situation to try to get somewhere in that conversation?
He could be more confident about his presentation, and for example, he could say, I have straightforward mission for you as planned from the oncology team.
But then he could
manipulate for chemotherapy or for therapy to start, otherwise it will further damage the spine. She may become paralyzed or something.
Yeah.
Good point. But do we always do what the specialties advise us to do is one issue here. So just because oncology have said admit the patient, is that a good strategy? Do we always do what specialties tell us to do?
Well, the thing is, because we are working up this patient and we will not consult any subspecialty unless we need something from them. So if they came up with a plan, so then we need to follow it.
Maybe we could get oncology to speak to medicine directly instead of using us as the secretary in between, maybe. So anyway, so that's one point, that we are following a plan for the patient, and we're trying to honour that plan. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
She should have stuck to his not listened to. She should have listened to what he should have still said that I am the one who taking care of the patient, I feel that this is what he needs.
Yeah.
And he might have done it, but as the physician taking care of the patient, this is his best interest, and that's it.
Yeah. So the point there was that Dr. Amen could have been more assertive, but do we think that the medical doctor, even though she's being quite rude and abrupt, do we think she's got a point? Yeah.
She actually has a point. It doesn't mean that she's totally wrong.
Yeah.
So in case that the referring physician feels confident about his approach, he can just thank her and he can escalate to the consultant on call.
Yeah. So your point is that a good strategy in that situation where you're in an impasse where there's no one's going anywhere is to then escalate to your own consultant. Because, I might, even as the consultant, discuss with another consultant in that situation because I'm frustrated, embarrassed, angry, I've got nowhere. And so I then need to discuss with a colleague, even if it's just to decompress my own feelings. This is reality. Sometimes it's not easy even for the consultants. We're all in this together. So I would say escalate and share the pain, share the issue. And sometimes you are so embedded in the situation that you can't see the wood for the trees, we say there's an English saying, but you're so embedded in the detail of the situation that you lose perspective, and then you're so overcome with the emotion of the situation that you can't think objectively. And so it helps just sometimes just to speak to a colleague. So you could just share it with a colleague, and obviously we're busy, but I would escalate. What about Dr. Ayman's use of SBAR? Was that good? Yeah, I think it was. Dr. Hayder, what do you want to say?
We are on the same page. I know someone has got jobs from the UK. That's one point. That's the objective.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Hayder says, thank you, that, you could sort of appeal to the humanity of the other doctor and say, look, we're in, this is a patient we both know. There's some more information. Oncology want to admit her now, regardless of an MRI result. And actually, as it turns out, she's very claustrophobic. Maybe she's had MRIs before, and this is an issue. It's going to take time, isn't it? We're going to have to get an anaesthetist probably and do it safely. But does it really change her management if oncology thinks she should come in? So we can negotiate as well. So we can use SBAR, of course, which is what we should try to do. What about Dr. Ayman's mood, though? His tone, the way he spoke to the doctor. Yeah, very calm, wasn't he? Maybe, but that was because I was purposely being aggressive. Sorry, too much breath. That's because I was being aggressive on purpose. So he was maybe on the back foot in terms of, just being able to get his point across. But he didn't lose his temper and he didn't rise to the provocation either. And although obviously it's a scenario, he was far away from actually engaging in confrontation. So that's another kind of learning point maybe from this scenario, that we should try to avoid confrontation. So even if we feel those emotions, even if we feel angry, better to just close the conversation than to engage in an argument or into a fight, which then, ultimately we would lose anyway, because we're not getting anywhere in this scenario, are we? We need another solution. Has anyone got any other comments or questions? Yeah.
Also, it could show some sympathy with the registrar and address the problem. I know you are busy and you have so many of patients, but you can maybe endorse the other registrar, or you can see him after one time, because it's not that urgent. I mean, you can identify whether it's urgent or not urgent.
Yes. Yeah. So again, appealing to the humanity of the doctor, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. So that's another good point. So negotiation, and we've heard about negotiation already this morning, but negotiating, saying, is there something that I can do that will sort of help out in this situation? What can I do to make this, to get a conclusion to this problem? And so that's always a good thing, to sort of acknowledge the busyness, but then to say, okay, look, if we maybe in this scenario could say, look, okay, I will try to get the MRI, but we both know that the patient is going to be a medical patient, whether it's now or in 5 hours' time. And so therefore, for the patient's sake, let's have a plan for admission, but let's also, I will try to organise the MRI so that wherever the patient is, whether she's still in the emergency department or she's happens to go to a medical bed, the arrangement for the MRI is made. And so that kind of helps out the medical doctor, because she might be thinking, do you know what, I am so busy, I'm so stressed, and now I've got to organise an MRI with an anaesthetic doctor, and I'm just so busy. So you don't know what's going through her mind. And I think that's another thing to say. You don't know, none of us know where people are at in terms of what's going on personally with each other, with colleagues. And maybe she's struggling with a sick child at home, or an unwell parent, or she's got a housing issue, or whatever it is. She may have some personal things going on that are affecting her performance at work, and that's not an excuse, but it could be a reason. So I think all of us have to be, just as we don't judge our patients, we have to just be kind to each other. So what Dr. Ashid said about being nice, start off with kindness first, and always maybe have that as your kind of hallmark, regardless. And bear in mind that we're all human beings trying to do our best for the patients, usually. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, Dr. Shukla. Sorry about the breathy microphone. I'm holding it too close or not enough.
More like comments rather than questions, but when patients like this with complex problems present to the emergency department, sometimes it's way outside our scope of understanding in terms of pathophysiology and therapy. And I think if we ourselves obtain an understanding of that in more precision from, in this case, from oncology and neurosurgery, it would provide us with more, so to say, ammunition to discuss with internal medicine. For example, this patient already has had a CT scan. CT scan does not very accurately tell you about whether there are more regions inside the spinal cord or not. But it is very accurate in telling us whether there is more compression or not. And that question is probably being answered if the CT scan has been done. So a quick discussion in neurosurgery about, is this MRI going to impact on a neurosurgical decision making in an emergent sense or not? And a discussion with oncology about why do you want this patient to be admitted? Can't you see her in your daycare center after the MRI is done? We may just be able to avoid an admission, which may be of value. Finally, writing an admit order or getting an admit order written by X specialty is in itself not a therapeutic intervention. By itself, it doesn't improve patient outcomes. So, as Alison said, there's a missing the woods for the trees. Sometimes we get so focused on getting a DISPO on the patient. The DISPO is not by itself a therapeutic intervention. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. So I think we'll conclude there and pass back over to Dr. Salim.